Welcome. It is Mitch. I am on YouTube. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Appreciate all the support. As I always say, we try to build this thing from the ground up. What a freaking win. I was so impressed last week with Matt LaFleur's blueprint against Indianapolis. I said throughout the week this week, that same blueprint isn't going to work. Tennessee's not going to watch film of that game and say, all right, let's prepare as if they're just going to, air it out this week, and we don't have to worry about the run. No, Tennessee was going to focus on making sure you didn't run it down their throats from the jump. Now, Green Bay needed to adjust to that. Malik Willis needed to adjust to that. Malik Willis needed to make plays in Nashville on Sunday, and he made a ton of plays. I'm watching that first half, and my first thought is like, oh my gosh, the training wheels are off the bike for Malik Willis. The dude was balling out. Look at the opening drive from last week against Indianapolis to this week against Tennessee. Last week against the Colts, opening drive, Green Bay ran it 7 times, passed it once, got a field goal. Against Tennessee today, opening drive touchdown, 3 passes, 3 runs, 50-50 split. 2 of those passes, 30-plus yards in the air. Drive results, Malik Willis running it into the end zone. You could see early on Matt LaFleur was like, we're taking the training wheels off the bike. We're going to let him air it out. He's going to have to air it out. And, it's not taking a million deep shots, but you're just going to have to throw it more early on to keep the Titans defense honest and to win this game. Last week's blueprint wasn't going to work this week. And Green Bay adjusted, and they won 30-14 over the Tennessee Titans. Could not be more impressed with Malik Willis. The dude's only been in Green Bay for a few weeks. He's only been in Green Bay for a few weeks. And I'm watching Will Levis struggle mightily. Now, that offensive line sucks for the Titans, but I'm watching Will Levis make some pretty boneheaded decisions. Had the pick 6 to Jair Alexander. The one late interception by Xavier McKinney. You're down 2 scores, few minutes left. You need to try to make a big play. It was like 3rd and a mile, and he just chucked one downfield, tried to give his guy a shot. Great read by X-Man to get the pick. We'll get to that in a little bit. But if I'm Tennessee, I'm looking around saying, man, I'm not going to pull the plug this early, but we might need a quarterback. Look at this Malik Willis guy. Should we call up Green Bay, say, hey, we'll float you a 2nd, 3rd round draft pick? This Malik Willis guy seems incredible. Seems like a starting caliber guy. We'd love to have a guy like that in our building. Had your chance. Malik Willis is balling. He's balling for Green Bay. And you talk about Green Bay trusting him more today, or just needing to trust him more, primarily Matt LaFleur. Late in the first half, fast forward a little bit, after a couple of penalties against Green Bay, 3rd and 18 from midfield, right smack dab at the 50-yard line. 3rd and 18 for the Packers. 1:38 left in the half. Tennessee was already using timeouts to try to get the ball back. Last week, that's a run. 3rd and 18 at the 50, even with the lead. That's a run last week. Against the Titans on Sunday, that's a 30-yard bullet to Christian Watson right through the heart of the Titans' defense. And the drive continues. Tennessee doesn't get the ball back. Green Bay gets points going into the half. 3rd and 18 from the 50. And if you didn't buy into it early on, that Green Bay, they're gonna need Willis to air it out. They're letting him air it out. They're letting him pass it a hell of a lot more than what we saw last week in the first half against Indianapolis at 3rd and 18 from the 50. I don't even want to say it took balls for LaFleur to call that. It just showed okay, 1 week can do wonders. They trust this guy. They trust Malik Willis a lot more this week. Training wheels came off the bike. Absolutely incredible. Titans on their drive responded. Mentioned Green Bay goes right down the field. 3 pass, 3 runs. Malik Willis runs it in for a TD. Titans responded with a touchdown of their own. And, we're going to bounce around on this. It's the instant reaction video. So there's no set format. We're just going to be hopping around. Titans had an early touchdown drive themselves, 10 plays, 70 yards. And I sat back and I was like, this ain't going to be a shootout, is it? We're not going to have a shootout in Nashville, are we? I don't know what the over-under closed at, but I'm guessing it was somewhere around 40, maybe less than that, maybe a little tick above. I don't know, but not many people were expecting even 44 points, which the final ended up being at 30-14. Tennessee, folks, opening drive, 10 plays, 70 yards. 3 drives after that for the Titans to close out the first half. 8 plays, 19 yards. You talk about buckling down. Jeff Hafley's defense did that. And they shouldn't have even had the touchdown on that drive early on. 3rd and 8, and Green Bay gets a stop. Preston Smith is called for lining up offsides. I don't know how you're staring at the ball, how you can line up offsides. I get like once in a while, if it's a hard count, you jump in to the neutral zone and get the offsides. But when you're staring at the ball, how do you line up? I don't get it. 3rd and 8, Green Bay got a stop on that Titans drive. Preston was lined up offsides. Titans end up getting a touchdown a couple plays later. But 10 plays, 70 yards on that TD drive in the first half. After that, 8 plays, 19 yards. There are 3 other drives before the break. I told you guys, too. Was it 10-7 Green Bay? Titans get the ball back. I told you guys over and over and over. And I wasn't, I wasn't reinventing the wheel. I wasn't dropping any knowledge that you guys didn't already know if you watched any of the Tennessee Titans in the first 2 weeks. But I did tell you repeatedly, Will Levis is going to give you at least one. He's going to give you at least one. Jair had a pick 6. Green Bay goes up 17-7, and then you're really, really feeling good. On just a bad read, a throw that distance-wise was going like 2-3 yards down the field, but he had to throw it from like the middle of the field all the way to the right sideline. It was a bad read, a bad decision by Will Levis, and I told you guys he's going to give you at least one. Had a pick 6 against Chicago on a play that defied logic. Had a play against the Jets, 3rd and goal. The Titans were up 7-0 in the first half, where he should have just eaten it, taken a sack. Instead, he tried like lateraling it, shoveling it to his running back. It's a fumble. The Jets recover. Told you guys, Will Levis, I don't even think he gets happy feet in the pocket. I didn't see a lot of like happy feet or like panic. He just makes some really dumb decisions. And Jair was ready for one of those really dumb decisions. And Jair turned it into 6 points for Green Bay. You knew Levis was going to give you at least one. Green Bay's defense, too. 7 interceptions last year. Fewest in the NFL. It was abysmal. A defense led by Joe Barry that didn't take chances, didn't play opportunistic football, wasn't aggressive. 7 interceptions last year for Green Bay. And a lot of people are like, well, is it the players? I don't know. They have 7 through 3 weeks this year. Now, Xavier McKinney has 3 of those 7. He wasn't on the defense last year. But look at Jair flying around. It's a different Jair Alexander. Now, I know he had some struggles week 1 against A.J. Brown. I do wonder, I'm not giving excuses how much of it had to do with the field. All the players were slip-sliding around, especially on the defensive side. Jair's buckled down the last 2 weeks. He really, really has. 7 interceptions for this defense last year in 17 games. 7 through 3 this year. I'm loving this Jeff Hafley defense. I am absolutely loving this. I saw blitzes on 3rd down. Sunday afternoon in Tennessee. I didn't know your defense was allowed to do that. I've watched Green Bay defenses in years past play way off the ball, way off the line. It's 3rd and 7. Our corners are lined up 15 yards back. It's pitch and catch for the opposing offense. That's what I got used to watching. That's what you got used to watching with Packers defenses in years past, not Jeff Hafley's group. They were blitzing on 3rd downs. I almost sank to the ground. I almost got on my knees and started praying. Just thanking and rejoicing. Oh my gosh, a defensive coordinator that's going to let these guys ball, that's going to let them be opportunistic and make plays, put them in spots to succeed. 7 interceptions last year in the regular season, 7 through 3 games this year. A lot of people. Mitch, I am on YouTube, by the way. Please click subscribe. Instant reaction, Packers beat the Titans 30-14, 2-0 with Malik Willis starting, filling in for the injured Jordan Love. Absolutely incredible. If you were fired up for last week's win, you better be overjoyed after this one. It was even more of a curb stomping by Green Bay. Just awesome freaking football. Absolutely awesome. Some people the first couple of weeks were frustrated, annoyed, perturbed with the lack of the pass rush getting home. And I told you guys, I get it, I understand, but first 2 weeks, if you go back and watch those games, they were trying to contain Jalen Hurts, trying to contain Anthony Richardson, 2 guys who can kill you with their legs. In Green Bay, Jeff Hafley looked around and said, you know what? This is how we're going to do it. We're going to play more of a contain on the ends, We're not going to cut loose our pass rushers too much. We don't want Hurts beating us with his legs. He does it to team after team after team. We don't want Anthony Richardson beating us with his legs. And those two quarterbacks were bottled up when trying to run the ball. Packers pass rushers got cut loose on Sunday, especially late in very obvious passing situations. Titans playing fourth quarter, 2 possessions down, pretty much got a pass to try to get back into it, get big chunk plays. Green Bay had 8 sacks on Sunday. Devontae Wyatt had 2. Preston Smith had 2. I don't know if anyone else had 2. Kingsley Enagbare might have had 1.5. He had a huge strip sack when it seemed like the Titans were gaining a little bit of momentum. I think it was 27-14. It was 27-14, and the Titans were driving a little. And I will admit, it came into my mind a little bit. I was like, all right, is this Packers defense really different? This is a spot right here. Because in years past, we'd see them give up a touchdown. All of a sudden, it's 27-21 with, 4 or 5 minutes left? And you're like, oh, shit. And it crept into my mind. I was like, is this Packers defense different? Kingsley Enagbare strip sack. Lucas Van Ness almost like Army crawls to get to the ball. Packers recover, and at that point, you could pull down the curtains. You just got to run out the clock, not do anything stupid. And it's deuces. It's a win in Nashville. And that's what Green Bay did. But it crept into my mind. 8 sacks. And I told you, again, and I'm not always right. Hell, I'm wrong a lot of the time. I'm looking at the Vikings dominating the Texans today. I'm like, am I wrong about Sam Darnold and the Vikings? We'll dive into that later this week in a couple of videos. I'm watching Caleb Williams against the Colts today, and I'm like, was I wrong about Caleb Williams? So I'm wrong a lot of the time. But I watched this Titans offensive line suck up the joint the first 2 weeks. I watched the Packers contain Hurts and Richardson and said, man, they're going to get cut loose. They're probably going to get home a few times on Sunday. Again, I wasn't breaking news to anyone, but 8 sacks for Green Bay. Oh. If there's anyone out there that was like over the top on their hate of what they saw with the pass rush the first 2 weeks, they're shutting up now. 8 sacks on Sunday against the Tennessee Titans. Just incredible. And so many contributors. Enagbare, Lucas Van Ness, Preston Smith, Quay Walker and McDuffie shared a sack. Edgerrin Cooper got in on one late. I mean, it was... I mentioned Wyatt had 2. It was fun. Rayshon had one wiped away because of a penalty. That was a lot of fun to watch. That defense put on a clinic after that early touchdown drive by the Titans. Defense put on a clinic. 8 sacks, 2 interceptions. It was awesome. Now, I do nitpick, right? It's not all always fine and dandy, but Green Bay 2-1, sign me up every time with your backup quarterback starting back-to-back weeks. Sign me up. And I'll throw in one more positive. I saw Wes Hodkiewicz, who's like a senior writer for the Packers, tweeted out at halftime. How about this stat? Digest this one for me. I'm throwing a lot of numbers your way, but enjoy this one. This was the first time since weeks 13 and 14 of the 2014 season. We're talking a decade ago when I didn't have a couple of white hairs in my beard. A decade ago. First time since weeks 13, 14 of the 2014 season, the Packers have posted 260-plus yards of offense in the first half of back-to-back games. And they did it with the backup. They did it with their backup quarterback. That's the unbelievable part. If Green Bay just posted 260-plus yards of offense in back-to-back games with Jordan Love against the Colts and the Titans, I'd still be impressed. The fact that they did it with their backup quarterback who's only been in town for a few weeks makes it that much sweeter. It makes it so much sweeter. Over a decade since they've last done that. And those are some MVP Rodgers years. Just remarkable. Willis gets credit. Offensive line gets credit. Josh Jacobs, the pass catchers, Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur gets a ton of credit. Just awesome. Now, some people might nitpick. They got really conservative in the second half. I don't think they were playing not to lose. I think they trusted their defense so much that they said, we can run the ball. Green Bay really didn't. They didn't go for the kill shot. They didn't go for the dagger. Now, Wayne Larrivee announced the dagger at some point in that game on Sunday on the radio call. But Green Bay really didn't go for that kill shot. I was okay with it. I was all right with that. Because you saw Tennessee's offense and you thought it's going to take something drastic for the Packers offense to screw something up with a turnover for the Titans to really have a shot here. Green Bay buttoned it up, I'd say midway through the third quarter through the end of the game on offense. There was one drive the Titans scored a touchdown to make it 27-14. Green Bay came back and went run, punt. Titans started driving again. That's when Enagbari had the strip sack. LVN dives on it. And so Green Bay did button it up. I didn't look at that as them saying we don't trust Malik because we saw them unleash Malik Willis in the first half. I looked at that situation and said, they know the Titans offense can't do this. As long as Green Bay's offense doesn't fudge it up, should be smooth sailing. And so I know they ran it a lot in the second half, and they did get conservative. I didn't mind it because you could tell the Titans offense, they didn't have answers. They didn't have answers that were going to lead to stringing together touchdown drives back-to-back to try to get back into that game. So I don't mind it. Mention, though, you got to nitpick a little bit, and I don't even think it's nitpicking. Two things, glaring things. Narveson missing a 48-yarder. Now, it won't go down as a miss statistically because there was a penalty on Tennessee. So Narveson technically today goes 3 for 3 with, I think it was a 22-yarder, a 26-yarder, and a 47, if I'm not mistaken. I might be a yard or two off on those chip shots. Also, Green Bay has a lot of chip shot field goals. I know you're playing with your backup, but things were rolling for the offense. I'd love to see, they got to punch it in. When you get inside the red zone, especially inside the 10-yard line, I cringe when I see the field goals too often, and they've had a lot of them the first 3 weeks. A lot of them. Even against Philadelphia week 1 when you had Jordan Love. The defense set you up with 2 turnovers on the first 2 drives, and you had tremendous field position, and both resulted in field goals. They got to start cashing in on those opportunities, not with 3, but with 7. You have to. I don't think Tennessee's a great team. I think Indianapolis, after watching them now for 3 weeks, I don't know what their ceiling is, but it doesn't look like a great team, right? You're going to start playing way better teams and teams that are going to make you pay a price if you don't cash in with 7, but instead 3 when you get down inside the 15, inside the 10-yard line. But Narveson won't go down as a miss statistically, but he pushed a 48-yarder to the right. All of his misses seem to go to the right. I mean, it's a broken record. It sounds repetitive at this point. I don't know. You're not going to cut the guy. You can't. Not at this point. You can't. You got to ride it out and hope he figures it out. I don't get it. I said it last week on the Instant Reaction. I'm sick and tired of seeing like college kickers all of a sudden nailing 53, 54-yarders with ease, and the Packers kickers, whoever it is, coming out that door, they can't make ones that in NFL world nowadays are I won't say chip shots, but they seem to be made at a very, very high frequency. The 47, 48-yarders, those seem like chip shots in the NFL now. And every time Green Bay sends a kicker out there to do it, I'm holding my breath because you just don't know. Now, last year with Anders, he missed I think he missed 5 extra points. So the extra points were even an issue last year where it's like Green Bay scores a touchdown. You're like, oh, I can go refill the water, grab a snack, whatever, step outside for a second, catch my breath. You couldn't do that on extra points last year. I feel pretty damn good about Narveson with the PATs, but these field goals from less than 50 yards, it's a circus. You have to figure it out. It's the only answer is just making them. This isn't like an X's and O's thing. The kicks aren't getting blocked. The operation looks good, right? The snap, the hold, and then the kick, and the operation looks good, but that's something that how do you fix it? You just make them, and they're not. And I'm not – if Narveson goes out there and bricks one from 52, 53 yards, I can swallow that pill. It's the less than 50-yarders that aren't being made where I'm looking around the league and everyone else is just draining them left and right. I can't do it. I do think he's very, very lucky the Packers have won 2 in a row here. Winning hides a lot. When you're winning, it masks issues. Now, internally, Green Bay is trying to solve those puzzles. But from a fan base perspective, we look back and a lot of people will comb over that 48-yard miss because it didn't even go down statistically as a miss again because Tennessee got called for a holding, which is a bizarre penalty for the defense to get called on a field goal attempt. But Green Bay is trying to solve that riddle. And again, it's just make them. Like that's solving the riddle. Easier said than done. I get it. But when you're winning, I mean, if Green Bay lost this game and that penalty wasn't called on Tennessee, we're looking at this through a different lens. Winning can hide a hell of a lot. And Narveson just, that's 3 misses in 3 games. Again, this one doesn't go down in the books, though, as a miss. So people who didn't watch that game will look and say, Narveson 3 for 3. All right, figuring it out. I don't know. Second thing is the penalties. This isn't just a Packers thing. I feel like I'm watching all these NFL games. I've never seen so many illegal formation penalties through 3 weeks. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on. And maybe I'm just watching the right games where it seems to be being called a lot more. But I'm seeing so many illegal formation penalties, it's driving me insane. Rasheed Walker's struggling, too, in the penalties department. He's good for at least 1 holding a week. He had a holding, he had a hands to the face, and the hands to the face didn't really look like one. It looked like he was more towards the neck, but they called it anyways. Elton Jenkins had a couple penalties. I know it sounds. I'm just going to say you got to clean it up. You got to clean it up. That's all I can say. I don't know what to tell you, but the penalties for I wouldn't even say a team, a franchise that Green Bay just typically doesn't seem to be a team that's penalty ridden year in and year out. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're more middle of the pack, but I don't remember seeing a Packers team this plagued by penalties early on in a season. And yeah, they come at crucial times. Certain junctures of the game where it feels like it stings a little bit more. And I keep looking at this offensive line because I'm not seeing a lot of defensive holdings. I'm not seeing a lot of legal contacts, defensive pass interferences, things of that nature. It seems to be holding, a lot of holds, illegal formations. I almost ignore when you have a penalty on kick or punt return because I feel like if you ever bust one on a return, you're always looking around to see if there's a flag because you're just expecting one. But yeah, you have to clean it up. I don't know what else to say for that. The penalties again weren't good today for Green Bay. I don't know how many they had total against Philadelphia and Indianapolis compared to this one against the Titans, but it felt like around the same. It felt like there wasn't much progress for Green Bay in that department. A couple of other tidbits I wanted to hit on. Emmanuel Wilson had his first NFL touchdown on an awesome little screen pass to the near sideline that he did all the work on. Malik Willis just had to flick it over to him, and Emmanuel Wilson, led by a convoy of offensive linemen, those big boys got outside the trenches to lead a track that led right to the end zone for Emmanuel Wilson, his first NFL touchdown. I'm simplifying a lot of things today. Emmanuel Wilson's a good running back. Like, I watch him run. It seems like he has really, really good vision. And I'm fine. Like, Marshawn Lloyd now is going to be out for a few weeks. A.J. Dillon's out for the year. I feel good about Emmanuel Wilson being your number 2. I really do. Like, I was texting one of my buddies today, and I was like, Emmanuel Wilson's just a good back. And I think he said correct. I was like, yeah, Emmanuel Wilson's just good. Like, I like him as the backup running back. So that was good, and that was a tidbit that I just wanted to add in. There was one more thing. Going back to Narveson, I should have finished this to put a bow on it again. It's instant reaction. Packers beat the Titans 30-14, moved to 2-1 on the season. Mitch, I am. Please subscribe. We're wrapping things up here. I should have put a bow on the Narveson thing with this. Green Bay had it 4th and 6 from the Titans 39 in the fourth quarter, and they punted. Now, they took a delay of game intentionally to move back to the 44 to give Whelan a little more wiggle room to try to pin Tennessee. Normally, that would make me nauseous, but it shows that they don't really trust the guy. That's a 56-yarder from the 39-yard line, the opponent's 39. I would say in today's NFL, 56-yard field goal attempts are like automatically attempted nowadays, and Green Bay punted. But I don't want to finish with negative. Think about the Emmanuel Wilson touchdown. Think about the win. Green Bay 2-1. Big matchup next week against the Vikings. We'll be previewing it throughout the week. Mitch, I am on YouTube. We'll see you next time.